Doing it live. This is great. It's the middle of May, and we have about as much content to discuss as Mike Jones has interest in hosting this podcast. Alas, you intrepid Spartans are in for a treat. For only the third time in history, it's an elusive Grooch Plum fuckfest. You're listening to Can't Read, Can't Write. Welcome back everyone to another episode of Can't Read, Can't Write, the podcast that proves Spartans can talk. I'm Alex Plum, joined this week by the baddest, daddest, Kevin Gregg. Grooch, you didn't know we were having a fuck fest tonight, did you?
Can I call you the zaddiest, the laddiest, zaddiest?
The laddiest,
laddiest?
I think so. I'll give you a card for that.
Who else is having a chat this evening?
Oh,
the MSU Board of Trustees is having an emergency talk this evening. I think it's just adjourned. Two personnel action, and then a inside the board, effectively personnel action. So we'll talk about that, I think, because the viewership loves talking about governance of the university itself. Honestly,
this is a sick group of people, and we are the sickliest. Well, thank you, of course, to everyone for listening, for tuning in, despite the utter doldrums of sport at this university. If we could ask a small favor, this may not be the week for it. Please share the pod with Spartans in your life. Rate, review, subscribe, follow us on X, Instagram, Bluesky, and wherever else you consume social media. Grateful for you today. Kevin, please tell the crowd at home what it is we'll be blabbing on about this week.
Well, I'll be following Game 7 of the Pistons game here off to the side. So maybe you're going to be doing the primary blabbing. Great. Although right now in the third, not a whole lot to cover because they're down 20 at home. So... But traditionally, this podcast begins with the green wall, where football always leads. And there have been some high school boys on campus. I took a nice little campus walk, looking around for them. Didn't see any high school boys, but they were there. Then there is some, I guess we could talk about basketball, speculate about Jeremy Fears and what he's been up to in the NBA Combine. And then also we got to talk about basically the board meeting, I think, is really all that's left. And then there are a few social media questions. So we'll discuss that as well.
We love to see when our folks jump in with questions, even on weeks like this. Well, let's head behind the green wall, as you say, Kevin, where only one recruit visit kind of style piece of news I could find, at least in my very casual perusal of the news. And that is Caleb Green, erstwhile commit to Mizzou of Lee's Summit, Missouri, has reportedly scheduled an official visit with Michigan State for early June. So just a couple weeks from now. 24/7's got this. Corey Robinson had this. June 5th, the official visit to take place. So apparently he committed to Mizzou back in April, is scheduled to take an official visit there in late June. So this is something. Listed three-star prospect, recruit rating of 87 in 24/7's rating system. Ranked as a number 60 linebacker and number 11 player from Missouri in the 27 class. I mean, I don't know. We need linebackers.
Yeah, and should we do the peer group, the offer peer group?
Please, sir.
We know Missouri's in there. Even a Spartan can deduce Missouri is in there, presumably. From there, you got your Iowa States, kind of sticking with that Midwest theme, and then it starts to fall off a little bit here for Caleb Green. You got your UCFs, you got your Arkansas States.
Oh,
you got your
good one on you.
Yeah, I threw you off there. You got your Kent States, you got your Linden Woods, you got your Liberties. Liberty keeps popping up. Do you think Liberty offers athletes the same way that it offers academic students. So if it's like, if you have a pulse, please come to Liberty. Or is
and
this
signing
a
this
real
contract
concern?
about Jesus Christ, probably more importantly.
So not an overwhelming offer list. Do appreciate that we need the linebackers. Do appreciate that we'll take what is now an SEC commit, but I would like to see a little bit more major conference action in here. If we're to, and I think the goal is be competitive in what is now the premier football conference in the country. So
yeah.
Caleb, this is not anything about you personally. This is that we've been burned by 3-star trash recruits in the past. I will say, though, recruited by, seems lead recruiter, Max Bulla. I don't know if that does anything for you, but.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. This is interesting. Just seeing this on ESPN. Did we talk about this already? That Michigan State, according to ESPN, in the Big Ten, Michigan State has had the worst offseason.
No, I did not see this listicle. What? Tell me about this.
Well, I'm reading it here live. Connor Muldowney has it on Spartan Avenue, but I'll have to see if I can find the reference source here. Oh, Eli Lederman, Max Wilson, and Adam Rittenberg had an article out dated May 5th. So we're a little late to the party on this cool. News.
12 days ago.
Other Big Times. Yeah. Let's see. ESPN believes that Michigan State had a worse offseason than every Big Ten team. We're ranked number 18 in terms of best offenses in the Big Ten. Yeah, I don't know. Despite the portal additions, I think it was the big moves by Van Sumeren, obviously losing Nick Marsh to Indiana.
Yeah.
Forks down today, Forks down tomorrow, Forks down for fucking ever.
Yeah. So we talked about some of these moves we happened.
Yep.
Something like the Nick Marsh thing. I think on the podcast, we're all in agreement that was a nice to have situation, not a need to have. I frankly, maybe this is cope. We cope here pretty often. I couldn't care.
What else do we have?
What ESPN has to say. You know how imprecise it would be to try to the telemetry of 18 teams and try to figure out which one's going up and which one's going down. I don't really care.
Yeah, that's right.
Some of those authors aren't bad authors. I don't have a problem with them personally. I just don't think they actually have a feeling on the pulse. It's not like we've had a great off season. I'll say that. It's not been killer. I think we've also been a little, other than winning the press conference when he was named, I'm not really sure what kind of heat we've generated here by Fitzmagic. So I don't entirely disagree. I do agree with them to a degree, but I entirely disagree with last. There's no way it's last. So yeah. Shut up, ESPN.
Well, let's just say this about one of those authors, Eli Lederman, not related to the famed BJ Lederman, who wrote the theme music to many of our favorite NPR weekend shows.
Yep.
But Eli Lederman went to Mizzou's journalism program. So if I had to say anything, he's trying to convince his boy, Caleb Green.
This is all
to come
about
to Michigan State.
Caleb Green. I
committed.
Knew it.
That's all this ever was.
Eli Lederman, sad. It's sad that you would debase yourself in your professional standards in that way.
Yes, that's right.
It's just disappointing.
Shameful and disappointing. Let's talk about scheduling, because if there's one thing we don't have good news on, it's that. The thing I'm, of course, most upset about is that people keep referring to home and homes. Longtime listeners of this podcast will know that we are, the three of us at least, unanimous that the appropriate nomenclature for an agreement with a team is that one year you're the home team and one year you're the away team. And so those series are called home and aways because you're not going to be home and then home, because what team would agree to play a home and a home? It's the stupidest thing anyone's ever heard.
Michigan agrees to play home and at homes all the time. In fact, it loves to have as many home games as possible, and will do everything in its power to have 8. Yes, this podcast is in consensus that is how the system works. Two of the members of this podcast are able to put themselves, they have the ability to put themselves in the shoes of others and understand how you can come to the conclusion that you would want to call it a home and home because it's a collaborative thing. Two of the members of this podcast have empathy and can understand how such a term came to be.
I don't know.
One member of this podcast
is not able to. Fully incapable of doing that. And I'm bothered. Well, let's talk about the one team that isn't forcing my hand on this subject, and that's Duquesne.
You're a big Duquesne's fan now.
Duquesne. Is it in Iowa? I don't know where Duquesne is. Do you know where Duquesne is?
Duquesne exists only in basketball, is my understanding. They
that's
pop up
fair.
Once every 15 years in the NCAA tournament. And they're the Duquesne Dickensians.
It's in Pittsburgh. It's in Pittsburgh, PA.
And they're the Dukes, and that's why people hate them.
Yeah, that's fair. That's utterly fair. This is interesting. This is one of the things we hear. Duquesne, we're getting them at home in 2027. And for the honor, because it is apparently cheaper to pay an FCS program in Pittsburgh, PA, $500,000 guarantee for us, I hope, to wallop on them September 4th, 2027. That's, I think, currently a Saturday. I'm sure we'll actually end up playing them on a Friday, as has been our storied history. That $500,000 is win or lose, which is sort of interesting.
That's how it always is. Yes,
okay,
it's interesting. That's how it works.
Continue. I don't know. I'm an
continue.
idiot.
Like literally continue because it's going to go on.
Well, and that's
we've
the thing.
outlined the other ones. Yeah.
So for reference, we're going to pay Central $1.5 million to come to East Lansing the very next week, which would be the first time we've seen them since Sign Steel Gate, right?
Yeah. This is the one that grinds my gears.
100%. 100%. And then we'll pay Toledo, or I guess for this season, we're paying Toledo 1.3 and Eastern 1.5 for their games. Why is it because those teams don't want to come here and just get walloped on, and so that's the incentive? Okay.
Yeah, you got to incentivize them to come, and they get a little piece of the purse. This is the way that it's always been.
All right.
I don't know if you remember the support your state thing, where MSU signed 3 homes and 1 away with the 3 directional universities. This might have been when you were off saving the world.
Yep.
And part of that deal was that we paid those teams significantly less, and then ultimately the payment was you got to host MSU. So yeah, this is always the case. Those pre-conference games, you cut a check to someone and hopefully you beat the tar out of them. The difference is for the other things that have been announced, the home and away. I'll put this in terms I can understand. I can empathize with you, and I can understand that I need to use your terminology.
So you're a big man, you know?
Yeah, the home and away with Oklahoma State, I think, is the exception to this. I think probably Oklahoma State doesn't get a piece of the purse, but I could be wrong about that. The payment is we go to them as well.
Yep. Okay. Well, that's interesting, and is what I can understand true. Although there's no cash exchange with the Oklahoma State. So the other pieces here on scheduling, we're going to be on the road against Oklahoma State in 28. We will host them in 29, and then Cincinnati in 30. We'll go there, and then we'll host Cincinnati in 31.
This is the one that grinds my gears. How do you feel about this one?
Say more.
Not to be that, like, I
think Big East. What is Cincinnati?
MUU is it's an egalitarian land grant institution, right?
Sure.
We're like, bring on everyone.
Big 12.
But I do think that we're way too good for a home and home with Cincinnati. Like, Cincinnati is a school that we take their coaches and we don't even feel bad about it. That's supposed to be our relationship with Cincinnati. So to you, what is this more of? Is this a debasing of MSU, or is this an acknowledgement of Cincinnati's ascension? Where is your read on this?
What ascendancy? And by the way,
I mean, they're all the way up to the Big 12 from in the D'Antonio days. They might have been FCS.
Yeah, they were like All-American Conference or American Atlantic or something.
It was sub-MAC in a state that has 5 MAC teams, if I'm not mistaken. They were definitely below those MAC teams in the hierarchy. Now they're definitely above those MAC teams in the hierarchy.
4, Bowling Green, Miami, Akron, Toledo,
Kent.
5. Well done, you.
Mhm.
Well done. You.
I'm always talking about the 5.
You
Ohio
do a lot. You're talking.
schools.
You've always been a big Kent stan. I don't really know why, but I think that's appropriate for you. No, I think that's right. I mean, I think this is a debasing of the university, and this is more example of Jay Batt utterly feckless, irresponsibly bad.
Mhm.
Oh, awful! You couldn't land anyone in the SEC. Not one team. I don't know. 2 Big
Like
12
a Missouri,
teams,
for example.
even a Missouri, even a, I don't care. I don't know. Even the ACC. I mean, there's just got to be. So I don't know what we think that means about the Big 12. I don't know if it means anything about the Big 12, but Jay Batman, just fucking, this is it. I mean, we're locked in with these schools until 2031. This 5 years from now, I guess. I don't know. I think you're right. We're not exchanging cash with Oklahoma State. Each team will, against Cincinnati, we will pay them $400,000 when they come to us. They will pay us $400,000 to come to them.
Yeah, maybe we are exchanging cash with Oklahoma State. I don't know. It hasn't been announced.
It just hasn't been reported. Yeah. It's just interesting. Interesting for both of these programs. If any of us, Oklahoma State, Cincinnati, Michigan State, anyone becomes a member of a conference that doesn't get a reserved spot in the college football playoffs, there's a underwritten $1.5 million cancellation fee. That fee gets waived. But if a system arises in the CFP without any auto bids whatsoever, then the cancellation fee remains in effect. So that was interesting.
Okay.
So they don't want anyone to be unnecessarily burdened or feel pressure to play against a shit school, which I think is as bidirectional as you can mean it. Sure. I mean, I think the win here, the punching up for us is Oklahoma State, as physically sick as it makes me to say that out loud. But yeah, the Cincinnati piece is a real punching down.
It sucks. It's in terms of the homes and homes that we've had, it reminds me, and when we were in school, there was the Pitt.
Yeah.
There was the Pitt home and home. There was the Hawaii home and home.
That's
fine. I don't love
Hawaii's different.
Of these.
Hawaii's different in my mind because Beth lives there. That's probably the big reason.
Yeah. In fact, you know what? I amend what I said. Let's do a Hawaii home and home, and everyone can stay with Beth.
Beth. Ding dong.
All right. Anything else on football before? Is there anything to talk about with basketball?
Jeremy Fears, old J. Fears guy. Let's talk about ascendancy. Not sure I love it. Also, I do love it because I don't love him. I mean, I've been pretty consistently inconsistent on Jeremy Fears this season, I think.
Yeah, the story here is that he appears to be doing well at the NBA workouts. I guess maybe moving himself into higher second round, maybe first round type conversation. I don't think anyone here is that concerned yet about him leaving, unless Plum, you're more concerned about him staying. Is that fair to say?
I'm not. I don't know. I do. I mean, on balance, I'm supposed to want him to stay.
Mm-hmm.
So let me say that out loud. I want you to stay. Please stay. But if he doesn't stay, the thing is, I win either way. If he stays and theoretically he's better and then we win more, I'm happy. But I won't really be because I'll be annoyed the whole season. If he goes, I get to hold it against him that he left early, and I save myself the annoyance during the season. So I really do come out ahead if he leaves. And he does too, by the way, if he gets recruited to play in the league. So yeah, I'm not really sure what to root for here. I mean, again, I want the team to win. I don't know that's how it happens for us.
I do think the team will win more if he decides to come back. I think that's the consensus feel. I'm not yet concerned, but if he doesn't come back, I think you can say any hope of a Final Four is entirely off the table. You got to really recalibrate down expectations for the team, and that would be a real bummer because we're in, as we've said about 1,000 times, win now mode, please.
Yes. It's the only thing that matters right now.
All right. Do you want to talk about this board meeting? As we said at the top, the listenership loves to talk about this kind of stuff. They love it. They can't get enough. They've skipped forward to this conversation, I think. Should we give it to them?
I think we have to, only because, well, some of it's public record. Some of it isn't, which I really would like to spend most of our time speculating on what that part is.
Yeah, that would be the most fun. Although they didn't leave a whole lot to be. Did you watch any of the board meeting?
I did not watch any of the board meeting. I believe you tuned in for some.
I did. Yes. I tuned in up until public comment for the Kevin G raise, which we'll get into.
Well, let's talk about that. There were two main points here. The first was the board wanted to adopt a more severe code of conduct for itself, which, generally speaking, great, adopt away. There really shouldn't be a limit on how severe codes of conduct get when you're talking about elected officials serving the fiduciary responsibility they do for the university. Mm-hmm. But the second, of course, is because old KG, not my favorite KG, I should be clear, clearly getting
Kevin
poached.
Garnett is your favorite KG.
Yeah, and has been for many, many years. Yeah. Is obviously getting poached. Would love to know by whom. But yes, doubling his salary to a cool $2 million.
So that was the personnel action. There were two actions on the docket. The code of conduct, we'll come back to that. The other one is busting up his salary. So they said explicitly that Kevin G is not pleased with how the board is conducting itself right now. That he's very frustrated and that he's listening to overtures from other universities. Part of this doubling of his salary to about $2 million. No, he was not in attendance. And they said multiple times he was not aware that this board action was taking place until we found out about it. Who knows if that's true or not?
Who is the people saying that?
Which
board members?
What part?
That he didn't know until the rest of the public, you and me.
Sandy Pierce said that.
So is Sandy, who's chairing right now?
Brianna Scott is chair. Sandy Pierce is chair of the financial committee.
Oh, fine. Okay. All right.
I don't remember what it's actually called, but effectively the financial committee. And Sandy Pierce also said, and I'm interested in your take on this, that she doesn't anticipate that any of this extra $1 million to his salary will come from the university's general fund. She basically said, and then Ballo, who we'll get into in a second, confirmed this will be from private donors. Do you think there's a potential conflict of interest? This was the argument against taking this personnel action. Do you think there's a potential conflict of interest in having donors personally funding the salary of the president?
I think we would be naive to think that that hasn't happened throughout the course of time at schools all over the place.
Sure. But in principle, the principle of it, does it bother you?
No, I don't know. Yes, no, I don't know. I mean, in the final analysis, like any entity that any nonprofit, this is the closest equivalent would be nonprofits.
Yeah.
You could imagine a nonprofit in any number of sectors trying to find a new executive leader, and a new leader is there, and the board says, we need to get this person, and this is the price tag to get them. And a donor says, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah.
The challenge, of course, is now you know where your money comes from.
Yeah.
The difference, though, is that a contract is a contract. And so you lock in that contract for some number of years. That's what denudes the power of that individual to have too much more coercive ability, because they put the cash up and then on terms of a contract that are more or less locked in. So I guess if it's a year-to-year renewal, but the board won't do that. They're going to try to get him for 5 years, I imagine, or something.
I don't remember what the extension
term was.
I want to say it was 32. Like it was already to 30, and then they want to bust it out to 32. So that would be like a 6-year or 5-year or whatever it is.
Okay.
I think that the university is already so beholden to donors that to think that whoever puts the money up for this is like, now they've got extra sway in the university, is like just so incredibly naive as to be like foolish, honestly. Like, whoever this money comes from, and I think we probably can speculate who the name would be. We know their name because every trustee and the president and JBAT and whoever has to pick up the phone whenever they call. And that's already the case. So why not retain a guy who, by all accounts, is doing a fine job and do we have to go down the list of all of the presidents and interim presidents the university has had since Llewellyn K. Simon was essentially forced out of office?
6 presidents in 6 years, Kevin.
It's crazy. So if we could just offer the university a little bit of consistency and leadership in this time, I think that's worth potentially giving up whatever you might have to give up on the principles side of things.
Yeah, I don't know what principles exist, honestly, at this level. Again, I think they're going to lock his ass in, and I think you kind of denudes it. As you pointed out, he's already taking the phone calls. They're always already taking the phone calls. You know who the people are. This isn't going to be a new guy. I could be wrong. We could be wrong. We often are. We often acknowledge when we are. So I'd be happy to be. But I want to go back and more interested in Sandy Pierce's sort of off the cuff here that, well, Kevin is very upset with this sport and how it is behaving. And we are just going to need to just tighten our belts, folks. I am very curious. Was there any elaboration on that? Was there a general murmuring and nodding, Rima Vance
the elaboration
off the sauce?
The elaboration was the comments that were made by the other trustees, most specifically Ballo and Vassar. I think their comments spoke for themselves and indicated how if you were an administrator trying to work with this board, you would also be accepting calls from other institutions across the country.
That's what they said?
No, I think it was apparent by the types.
You would be like, yeah, I gotta get the fuck out of here.
The conduct just in this public meeting of those two would kind of show how exhausting it must be to work with this board over a period of time. I don't think anyone on the board said specifically this is about Rima Vassar and Ballo and Dennis Deno to a degree, but I think one can reasonably assume that is the case. But I think the conduct and the comments that were made during the public meeting spoke to that pretty well.
I didn't remember this, but apparently Rima Vassar penned an article back in February full of the article here in the State News saying her op-ed contained several inaccuracies. Correct. This was published by Bridge, Michigan about encouraging Michigan State to reinstate its DEI efforts. And even Kevin G had to get up in front of the folks and say, well, several inaccuracies in her essays, but just no coordination with the university before those kinds of pieces go out.
Correct. And that's
not a good look.
Specifically what this code of conduct is about. And Sandy Pierce outlined, and we talked about this at the time, effectively in the state constitution, there is no governance of the board. The board has to govern itself. Yes. The only lever to pull is that the governor removes them from office, which has no precedent. Yeah. In her statements, Rima Vassar basically said that she was that by the governor choosing not to remove her from office, that was a vote of confidence in her. And I don't think that's what not removing means.
This woman is
not
unhinged.
Removing means is you were chosen not to be removed because there's no precedent for this. So the board can only govern itself. There is no other mechanism. And if 5 members of the board choose to adopt this code of conduct, then I don't understand. I can understand how there would be dissent on that, but this is the mechanism. This is the only mechanism. You deal with boards. You're a board guy. Are there codes of conduct for boards generally?
Yeah, bylaws. I mean, your bylaws stipulate what boards can and can't do. Our board has they've got to do an annual disclosure of conflicts of interest. I mean, the last board member that had, well, actually, I probably shouldn't say too much, but there have been instances where conflicts of interest have come up and, conversations were had and those conflicts of interest were resolved. And that has to be how it is. And that's a joint conversation between your operations person, that is the chief executive that the board has hired, which is the board's really only job. That chief executive is going to have the operational impetus to say, hey, conflict of interest here. This is making my job or my staff's job hard. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, the board president, right, who's ultimately the charge of the ultimate fiduciary responsibility and is generally the CEO or executive director's supervisor. So, and I've been very fortunate that, and throughout my term, all of my board chairs have always been impeccably credentialed, ethical, strong, cognizant leaders who understood their job. And that's not the case at this school.
I'm glad you brought this up, specifically that there's really only one job for the board, and that's to hire the president, the manage the relationship. Yeah. It says explicitly in this new code of conduct that all communication with other principals at the university need to go through the president or the board secretary. The clear implication there being the board is always going around those people and reaching out themselves, the general counsel's office or whatever it may be.
And I would just tell you, and like, there is this is just true, like that no thing would get me to tender my resignation in my own job than board members circumventing me. That would just be the end. Because nothing undercuts your credibility. Nothing creates confusion on staff.
Right.
Just this idea that, like, who am I reporting to here? I mean, because
that's the problem for staff. Staff is like, oh God, now there are 10 of them that I have to deal with now.
Yes. But this is also where the president, or in our other analogy, the CEO or whomever, their responsibility is, you don't work for the board, you work for me. If the board asks you to do anything, you contact me immediately. Do not do anything that the board asks you to do. You have to contact me. If you do, you will be punished up to and including termination. Like, I'm not going to have you have to follow my directives. They're not your boss, I am, or they'll fire me. But so don't put yourself in that position. Mm-hmm. So the president has to set that context, because it's true. The board cannot and has no authority to summarily change employment tenure. And so the other employees have to be told, I'm sorry, thank you, Trustee Vassar. And I think we can use Rima because she's obviously, clearly by her own behavior, has no clue what her job is and is an unstable human. This idea that you could be, and so let's just allegedly claim maybe she's one of the people. Allegedly, if she
identified herself with her comments today explicitly.
And that's my point. But so if that's the case, like, I think that's the point where if Trustee X, Y, or Z contacts you, it's a no. And Trustee Vassar then just gets to, continue to betray her own credibility, which she's still on this board for another 3 years, Kevin.
Sounds right.
2029.
Sounds right. So anyway, let us be glad that the board is at least taking steps to try to retain Kevin G. I think between the two of us, President Guskowitz, we seem to think he's doing a fine job. Is that fair?
We'll see.
Personally, I think he seems to be doing a fine job. So,
do we know what the deal is with the Ballo?
I honestly have no idea. He ran on a ticket of save swimming after swimming was already dead. There's also, like, can we be frank about...
Is he a Republican?
He's a Republican. I think he's perhaps the only Republican currently serving on the board. The other one would have been, what's his name? Patrick O'Houlihan that resigned after making a lot of comments. And then the governor appointed Sandy Pierce, I think, at that point.
Yeah. Yep.
So anyway, the board's a mess.
Yeah, Pat O'Keefe. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Patrick O'Houlihan, as I said. Pat O'Keefe. Thank you. So it's a mess of a board. It continues to be, it never won't be. And multiple times on the emergency meeting this evening, board members stated they were elected by the state of Michigan, the voters of the state of Michigan. And I think that is true. But also, let's be real about how you get on this board. The top of the ticket almost always carries the down ballot. You got one way or another your party's nomination, and then you happen to be on the winning side. This had very little, if anything, to do with your personal bona fides. There are exceptions to that. There have been board members over the years that continue to get elected despite of what happens on the rest of the ticket. It can happen, but generally speaking, and I think it's fair to say for anyone on this board, you were carried by who was ever at the top of the ticket at the time, basically. So I don't care. I don't care about you specifically. I don't think really you matter all that much. The collective is what's important for the board. The individuals, no one should know who you are. No one cares who you are. But the actions of the board overall are critically important to the university and how it functions. And that's what this code of conduct is about, is maintaining that collective effort.
Well, there's not enough time in a day to talk about how inept these fucking people are.
Pistons are only down 15 now. How about that?
My Lord, my God. Kevin,
it's the NBA. Anything can happen.
Kevin, we got to do a quick off-grid number. We're going to zig. We're going to zag really quickly.
Zag me.
We want to just name rest in peace to old Sherman Lewis.
Yes. Good. Thank you for adding this.
Yeah. Class of 1963. Michigan State, played 3 seasons, was an All-American. Came third that year in the Heisman votes.
Where was he in the Walter Camp is my question.
I believe he was number 1. He might have been the very first Walter Camp awardee. I'm going to go ahead and fact check that later. Spartans finished 9th in the final AP poll that season. Anyway, went on to be an assistant coach at Michigan State before a very decorated NFL career. 4 Super Bowl rings, 3 with the 49ers and 1 with the Pack. Just very, very good person. Inducted to the Michigan State Athletics Hall of Fame in 2001 for a college career. That also included winning 3 Big Ten track titles.
Yeah, I didn't know this about him. Big track guy as well.
300-yard dash and 2 in the long jump. Now, he was drafted in the 9th round of the AFL draft by the Jets, and the Browns selected him in the 18th round of the NFL draft the same year.
I believe he was also a CFL guy.
Yep. Coached for the Lions. Was offensive coordinator for the Lions 02 to 04 before consulting with Washington in 09, and that kind of ended his thing. Anyway, dead at 83, lived a wonderful life, and sports was a big, important part of it, and sportsdom here at Michigan State, more to the point, was too. So sending our condolences and thoughts to him to his family.
I know that this has become a meme, but can we do a sincere?
Why not?
To Sherman Lewis.
To Sherman Lewis. Yep.
Sherman Lewis.
To Sherman. You go by Sherman, right?
He does now. What are we drinking over there, by the way? What is that?
Hey. So I've got some friends. Well, I actually had one friend, I think, that bought this. I don't know if both of you guys went in on it. I don't remember.
It's unclear. No one could know. How was that represented to you? Remind me.
I believe as it was. Well, let's just tell the folks what it is. This is the 18-year Oban.
Woo.
Now,
I can go to war.
I myself am a 14-year Oban man because I don't have these kinds of deep pockets. But these two jabronis really did yours truly a solid here. Now, the Oban, for those who don't know, is a delightful, maybe to my mind, the most delightful of the Highland scotches. Smoky in the right ways. Just the right kind of bite. This 18, I can say, has absolutely zero bite. It's all palate. It's all nose. It is oaty. It's oaky. It's everything you want it to be. And Mike Jones did share with me the price that he paid for said 18-year. And he did that after he stole one of my Dad's Strength 2.9% ABV IPAs, and he said, well, I could take one of those beers that someone else got you because I spend all this money on this 18-year scotch for you.
Yeah. Looking over at the game now.
Hell of a guy.
Duncan Robinson is in, and that's probably why the Pistons are now down 25. Probably because of Duncan Robinson.
A shameful showing. Cade Cunningham, I blame you.
Yeah.
And bring you.
But here's to Mike Jones, who was the only one that got you that open 18. How do you like it compared to the 14?
I mean, it's on another level. It
Is
really
it?
is.
Really?
It really is. I mean, the 14 is great, but you get a lot of smoke in the 14, and there's none in this. I mean, there's like none. Oh, it's also lighter.
Yeah.
It's a little bit lighter. The 14's a little darker.
That's interesting. You would think that it would get darker, not lighter with that time. It would get a little leggier, a little darker.
Could be because I put an ice cube in it. So that could be on me. That one could be on me.
All right. You are actually supposed to water down scotch. You're supposed to take it down to the...
Just a little bit.
Yep.
Just a couple few drops from the eyedropper. I probably went overboard with the ice cube, but I will say it mellows it out deliciously. Kevin, when you're in Grass Lake, Michigan, are you ever in Grass Lake?
No, but if I was, I would starve.
Awesome.
On principle.
It's fucking great. I mean, you just go to Mugs and Bop. You get that.
That's true. That's the most important thing. You know what though? If I was,
do you know? Actually, I went back to that episode. Was that 2 weeks ago? 2 or 3 weeks ago? I went back and I listened just to that,
to their whole Mugs
to
and
the
Bop
whole
bit.
Mugs and Bop bit, and
Was
it
it
was
good.
It was
it
great. It stands up. It stands on its own. Yeah, it's great.
I hope we flooded the Mugs and Bob website with traffic.
They're
just like the one dude that runs the cash register and also monitors the website is like, we've seen massive spikes in traffic and it's not clear why. This would happen, listeners. This will happen occasionally to our episodes. Every once in a while, one will take a big spike, and we'll find out it's because like it got posted on a thread somewhere, is in a message board or something like that, and there's like a noticeable spike that takes place as a result. And I'm sure that's happening in Mugs and Bop's HQ of Stockton, Michigan, or wherever they're out of right now. Anyway, while you're in Grass Lake, you could also go to Mama's Mercantile,
probably if you wanted to.
Mention us. Shall we take these social media questions then?
I think we have to. It's important for us to. All 5 of these people deserve a response. Also, we've got one in the public chat here. I don't know if you want to take that one first. It's in French. So
en français?
En français.
En français. I
don't even know how to pronounce any of that.
Sucking at bringing it up. Studio chat.
Polypish 355 asks, how is there no rage over no land grant trophy game? I don't know how to pronounce any of that.
It seems to be coming from separatist French.
It has to be a Quebecois person, no doubt.
That's what you get when there's 18 teams in the Big Ten.
It's true. But we can be upset about it. I'll be upset about it. I'm upset about it.
I will also say, though, it makes the land grant trophy games that we get all the more sweet.
You get to hold the trophy for longer.
If you can hold the trophy for longer. Like, oh my God, I'm getting lactic acid buildup just thinking about it.
It is an unattractive trophy. We can be clear about that. Folks will agree.
Or beautiful. One of the two.
Well, depends on how perverse.
But I would say polypish. It could also be said about the spittoon, or it could be said about the megaphone, which will be played for soon here for the first time in like 7 years or something like that. So this is all about the eroding of what we like about college sports and how that will continue to erode. Thank you, Polly, for that question. First up, though, from Thomas, why does the Lansing area seem to have the most flammable apartments known to man? I remember a building in Okemos going up in flames a few years ago, and now a friend of mine in Lansing had a neighbor start a fire, and apparently Chandler Crossing had a fire too. This is downplaying what happened at Chandler. Did you see this?
I did not. No, I don't know.
Basically, the top floor of one of the buildings is entirely gone. And we happened to be 2 degrees of separation from a student that lived in one of those affected apartments.
Oh, wow.
And he said that the insurance company told them they're not going to do anything. What did we pay for? Well, first, let me be clear. I did not pay a whole lot of renter's insurance before I owned a house.
Yeah, no.
But if I was paying renter's insurance, what was it actually for? Other than catastrophic loss due to fire that was not my fault.
Correct.
What?
But that's why you have to have renter's insurance. I mean,
but what he's saying is that renter's insurance isn't paying for it. That's what we were told.
Oh, well, I don't think they have a choice. I mean, you have to see what your exclusions are, but I don't think they have a choice. I don't think you can say, no, I'm not paying for this.
That is what we were told by this young man who lost everything in this fire, that the renter's insurance is not covering his loss. I don't know the specifics of this. I just don't get why anyone would pay for renter's insurance. If not this, when?
Yes, question. That's the right question. And that is one of those things that when you say it out loud, you're kind of like, I don't know about that. But you know what? There's a lot of reasons why you can have exclusions, a lot of reasons. And you will have times where your more unscrupulous insurance companies will just do a blanket claim denial and you have no choice, but you got to take them to court. You got to sue them. You got to sue them for your attorney's fees back. Yep. And you get it paid. But if you have the policy, like they have the policy. These are what the adjusters do. But that's wacky. If true, wacky.
Wacky, for sure. I will say no one was hurt in these fires, and that's probably the most important thing. I don't know if you remember this, but when we were in school, multiple people died in house fires at U of M. So it can happen.
Oh,
they did. Yeah, it was pretty gnarly. So I'm just glad that no one was hurt. And
of course,
maybe that's because it was already the summers after graduation when this happened, but it was a pretty raucous fire. Next up from Thomas, how would you rank Mugs and Bops compared to other Michigan specific convenience stores / gas stations like Wesco and QD? Both of those actually make their own donuts instead of reheating someone else's in a Ford Transit van. That's a Mugs and Bops shot there from Thomas.
100%.
Let me be clear. I don't think there's any competition between Mugs and Bops and QD. I think of QD as a bakery that occasionally launders and then also occasionally gasses.
That's right.
And really only one or two that I can think of where it does all three at the same time. But I think of QD as predominantly bakery / place I buy beer.
That's right. That's exactly what it is. Yeah. The gas station is a lucky coincidence if you get it.
What about you though? Wesco versus Mugs and Bops.
No, have I ever been to a Wesco?
I don't know what Wesco is.
Couldn't tell you.
I assume that this is a west side of the state thing and it's heathenous and Mugs and Bops.
Thomas, I don't know, man. You got to get with the program here on this Wesco thing. Let's now, if you said Sheets, it'd be Sheets. We got some Sheets here on the east side. I can tell you that. And
we're getting Sheetsy in East Lansing effective like several months from now, is my understanding.
Long gas lines and not quite Costco prices, but I'm sure they'll get there. That national model. We'll see. Happy for them.
And finally, if you need extra questions, are the Detroit sports teams disappointing us currently so that the inevitable lackluster MSU football season isn't surprising? Live update on a game, listeners, that you already know the outcome of. They are down 30 with 8 minutes to play. 35, in fact.
I do want to acknowledge just briefly, Beth jumped in here with, I think, maybe Beth's work account, which is pretty awesome. Kauai Island Utility Corporation cooperative, maybe. So Beth FYI on that, assuming it's Beth.
You can't. We're effectively helping Beth dox her.
I think maybe we're not sure. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, Beth. Oh God. But we did get this. I was not saying it correctly. My was wrong. It's just qu'est-ce. And this is why no one speaks French and why no one should speak French, because it's far too many Q's and apostrophes and M dashes and there's just too many for 3 syllables. Qu'est-ce. And that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 14 letters. 14 letters to get to qu'est-ce. No.
And it means, what is this?
Qu'est-ce.
Qu'est-ce.
Kase.
Yeah.
Kase. Sorry. All right. No one's here for that. Jason Fry asks of me. Jason Fry, this is what he wrote. I'm going to just read what he wrote verbatim based on what he wrote. Plum has gone 2 whole episodes without saying faggot. I didn't think he'd gotten a card. Should we be concerned? No idea. Is this a danger sign that he's possibly being held hostage? What are each of your signs that you're being held hostage? I'm going to have to burn one of your cards, I think, for that one, Kevin.
You Jason, can't just take my card.
I gave them to you. I can do what I want with them.
I don't believe I gave one of them back to you. If you read the
terms,
there's nothing in there about it being irrevocable. There is a new dollar value, though. You know how
there was a dollar value
are worth like a 1/1,000,000th of a cent or something like that.
That's right.
There's a dollar value.
There was a dollar value on there. That was my mistake. I shouldn't have done that.
So Jason Fry, didn't know you had the card.
Congratulations. Yeah, good use. Good use of it.
What if we had to know that you were being held hostage? How would, if you had a proof of life video?
Yeah, what would it be?
What would it be? Yeah.
That's a good question, actually. I need to think about that for a minute. It'd probably just be me like scrolling aimlessly on my phone. I think people would be like, yeah, that's him. That tracks. That's him living his sad existence as we would expect.
I think
I don't know how to like make that contemporaneous though. I guess that's my, that could be at any time. How do you know that was taken right now, 2 minutes ago?
Yeah. I think if we ever talked about a recruiting peer group that I didn't do the bit in, you should check in on me to make sure that everything is okay and I haven't been body snatched.
Fair.
Because I'm always going to go to that well.
Yeah.
Never not going to go to that well.
It's reliable well.
Next up from the Leaf, what are your thoughts on fears and the ultimatum of quote, first round pick or going back to college? That's not the right use of ultimatum. Is it really worth the gamble or take the money from an offer and run? Oh yeah, there's more money back at campus. What a world, she adds.
She's got herself real tied up into that little narrative she just spun. That was kind of exhausting to read. I can't imagine how exhausting it is to live with those thoughts perpetually in your mind. But
it's just like, this is what she thinks an ultimatum is.
Well, but did he ever say that? Like, where did she just create that out of whole cloth?
No, I mean, I guess it's an ultimatum in that those are the two obvious options. He could also just stop playing basketball whenever he wants to stop playing basketball. The question is, if a team came to you, Plum, and said, we're going to take you in our last pick in the first round, which would be, let's say for this team, it'd be like 25 or something like that. Basically the end of the first round. Would you take them on their word and would you go? That's the question here.
I don't know with the cash that's at college now, the answer's got to be no.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't see, and this maybe is the more revealing reality, if he doesn't think that this year is going to help his stock value improve, well, then of course he has to go now.
With the new contracts, it's no longer the case that it's like you got to get in the lottery or bust. Like it's kind of spread out a little bit better now than it used to be. So there is that. There is also the like, what if it doesn't get better? What if this is your chance to go to the league and this is your dream?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I would encourage him to watch NBA games and wonder, is it worth throwing everything away for this? Yes. I'm watching this Cavaliers Pistons game and it seems like go back to college, my man.
Her?
Yeah.
Her?
Very much so. Next from the Leaf, there's a virtual special meeting tonight of the MSU Board of Trustees discussing Grooch's contract and more. Who's really running the school, the board or the president? Adding, oh, wait, wrong Kevin. Winky face. What did you say about living in her head before? What was that? We discussed the board meeting. Thank you.
Oh.
Next up, for My Name Isn't Earl, I learned recently that, quote, the House settlement has nothing to do with Congress, but it's rather named for Grant House, Arizona State swimmer and plaintiff in the case. I can totally understand how you would. What is your version of one of these? I've got one.
Mm-hmm.
I was in college when I learned that MP means member of parliament and not military police. I remember hearing on NPR like a whole lot of like MPs commenting on things. And I was like, who cares? Like, why do so many military police officers get quoted about these things? And then I was in college and I learned member of parliament is what it meant. Do you have anything like this?
I'm learning this in real time. I did not know this fact.
Well, that they called members of parliament.
No. I know MPs. I didn't know that House settlement wasn't about the House. I thought it was the House of Representatives. I thought it originally.
There you go.
And I'm also learning this from Earl in real time here.
Yeah, old Grant House did this for us. It's based off of the name is off of his lawsuit, and that's how we got here. So there you go. My name isn't Earl. You're in good company with Plum.
Yeah. And yeah, this is the right question. It was a good question, a good secondary question. And I don't have an equivalent. I mean, I'm sure I do. They probably have something to do with lyrics of songs, where you misinterpret the lyrics, which I'm so good at doing, and then going all in on the wrong lyric.
I've never misinterpreted a lyric in my life, and our social media coordinator would tell you, perfect lyric guy, nails every lyric. Yeah, there's a follow-up. So my question, did you know that secondably, why would anyone think Congress,
it does say that.
Why would anyone think Congress did something in the first place? Good on you. My name isn't Earl. And finally, from Sparty Kawhi, of which we have no other information.
Nothing about any other thing.
Don't know anything. University of Hawaii pulls in 3 natties in 6 years. Okay,
impressive.
It's men's volleyball, but still. And we've got nada for how long? Make it compute.
Can't do it. Men's volleyball. But listen, if you're going to win 3 natties in 6 years, it had better be at Hawaii. I mean, no one else can go play volleyball outdoors under the sunshine 24/7. Maybe Pepperdine, but still, it's Hawaii for sure. Yeah.
I think how many teams play in men's?
That's a better question.
And I would point out, does Quidditch mean nothing to you? Kawhi?
Oh, boy.
Because don't we like rule Quidditch? Thank you. Which is essentially a club sport.
There are approximately 76 NCAA D1, D2 programs. They compete in a combined national collegiate division.
There you go. And finally, from Sparty Kawhi is the fears everyone saw at the combine, the same guy we saw all season. I think this is specifically to you, Plum.
And the answer to that is no, because if it was, I'd be a lot more scared. I would have been a lot more scared going into this. So I don't know, though. The thing is, it's a different caliber of play. It's more sanitized in many respects. It's not really basketball. They're kind of showing off.
It's a little bit Moneyball-y.
It's Moneyball-y. He doesn't have like Izzo, but he does have that unique relationship with Izzo. But there's so much there with like, I don't know. It's not. I think it's kind of an apples and oranges thing. But no, on balance, no. Maybe this is proof why we want him back. Well, he can grow. He can get better.
All right, bud. Did we do it for this week?
We did it in under an hour. We're about to do it in under an hour, which is really an achievement. We probably should stop talking. I don't know if this was the 3rd time ever we did this. It actually may be fewer than 3 times.
I can name at least one other
once. So this might have only been the 2nd time we did this, but this was nice. I would do this again. I would do this a lot. I would look forward to it more often if it was just us, I think.
This, I will say, wasn't a chore. And it's so often...
And I had to do outlining, which really tells you something.
Yeah, that feel like just such a chore, this podcast at times, but not My guy. Not this one. Take a draw of that open 18 over there.
No, it's gone. I totaled it. We're going to have to go back to the dad strength, 2.9%.
Dad strength.
Go green, Kevin Greck.
Go white, Alex Plum.